The human social landscape is divided into those who react and those who calculate. When we think of dangerous traits within the dark triad, our minds immediately gravitate toward the visible threats. We picture the overt narcissist, loud, fragile, demanding constant validation and burning bridges in fits of rage. Or we picture the psychopath, impulsive, remorseless, breaking social contracts without a second thought. Both are destructive, but both are loud. Because they are loud, they are predictable. You can see them coming. But there is a third element, one that never throws tantrums, one that never breaks laws out of impulse. This is Machiavellianism. Named after the Renaissance political strategist Niccolò Machiavelli, this trait represents cold, detached, and highly systematized manipulation. If the narcissist is a storm and the psychopath is a flash flood, the Machiavellian is a slow, silent drought that hollows you out from the inside before you even realize you are thirsty. To a Machiavellian, emotion is a design flaw in others and a vulnerability in themselves. They view the world not as a community of human beings with feelings, goals, and rights, but a giant chessboard. You are not their friend, their partner, or their colleague. You are a piece on that board. You have a specific value, a specific trajectory, and the specific expiration date. They do not manipulate for the petty thrill of ego validation. They manipulate for tangible, long-term power, control, and utility. They play games that span months, sometimes years, mapping out every conversation, every favor, and every piece of information like a master architect. If you feel an unsettling sense of confusion in your life, as if your reality is shifting but you cannot pinpoint why, you are likely already inside their system. Here is the deep psychological breakdown of the 5 undeniable signs that you are being manipulated by a Machiavellian. Sign number 1 is a phenomenon known as calculated generosity. Human society is built on the law of reciprocity. When someone does something kind for us, our brains are biologically wired to feel a sense of gratitude and an obligation to return the favor. It is a foundation of trust. The Machiavellian understands this biological mechanism perfectly, and they use it as an offensive weapon. When you first encounter a Machiavellian, they will often appear exceptionally helpful, resourceful, and generous. They are the ones who offer to fix your problem when you're stressed. They provide you with an industry connection, give you high-value advice, or step in to defend you during a minor dispute. To the untrained eye, this looks like altruism, but look closer at the timing and the structure of their assistance. A normal person helps you because they empathize with your situation. A Machiavellian helps you because they are purchasing an asset. Every favor they perform, every resource they share, and every gift they give is a transactional investment. They are creating a hidden emotional debt. They deliberately keep an unwritten ledger in their mind. The danger lies in the asymmetry of this ledger. They might perform a favor that costs them very little, such as making a quick phone call or introducing you to someone. But in their ledger, that transaction grants them full access to your loyalty. Months down the line, when they require something from you, something that might compromise your ethics, your time, or your financial security, they will casually invoke this debt. They will not yell or threaten, they will simply frame it in a way that makes you feel incredibly ungrateful if you refuse. You are left with a persistent, heavy feeling of obligation, trapped by a kindness that was never actually kind. Sign number 2 is strategic vulnerability. True trust requires mutual risk. To build a deep connection, human beings naturally share their flaws, past pains, and secrets. The Machiavellian knows that if they remain completely cold and guarded, people will become suspicious. Therefore, they manufacture artificial transparency. In the early stages of your relationship, a Machiavellian will pull you aside and share what appears to be a deeply personal, raw confession. They might tell you about a childhood struggle, a past professional failure, or a secret mistake they made. They do this with absolute composure, framing it perfectly. This is not a confession, it is psychological bait. By pretending to expose their underbelly, they trigger your natural mirror neurons. Your subconscious registers this as a sign of safety. You think, if they are willing to be this honest with me, I can be honest with them. Consequently, you lower your guard. You begin to reveal your genuine vulnerabilities, your real insecurities, your financial anxieties, your past traumas, and your complex relationship dynamics. While you are speaking, the Machiavellian is not empathizing. They are harvesting data. They are mapping your psychological landscape, identifying exactly where your triggers are, what drives your guilt, and what you fear losing the most. The minor secret they gave you was worthless to them. It was a calculated loss, but the information you gave them in return is priceless. They will store this data away, waiting for the precise moment in the future when they need to leverage your guilt or manipulate your fears to keep you aligned with their goals. Sign number 3 is invisible triangulation. Machiavellians do not operate well in environments where communication is direct and transparent. Transparency destroys their leverage. To control a group, an office, or a family, they must become the exclusive informational bottleneck. They achieve this by dividing the circle. Triangulation occurs when the manipulator orchestrates friction between two other people while remaining entirely blameless. They will approach you in confidence and say something like, "I heard what John said about your project. I think he was being unfair, but don't worry, I defended you." Notice the dual effect of this single sentence. First, they have successfully planted a seed of distrust between you and John without John ever being in the room. Second, they have framed themselves as your loyal protector. They will then approach John and execute the exact same strategy, subtly dropping hints that you are critical of his work. Over time, communication between you and John breaks down completely. You stop speaking directly and begin relying on the Machiavellian to relay information. This is exactly what they want. By creating silent, controlled friction throughout their social or professional circle, they ensure that everyone is isolated, defensive, and reliant on them. They remain the only neutral entity that everyone trusts, giving them total control over the narrative. They don't need to defeat you. They simply make sure everyone else is too busy distrusting each other to notice who is holding the strings. Sign number 4 is the presence of the analytical gaze or emotional flatness during crises. Human beings are emotional mirrors. When someone around us experiences intense joy, deep sorrow, or sudden panic, our mirror neurons fire automatically. We feel an echo of that emotion. It alters our body language, our tone of voice, and our focus. A Machiavellian lacks this involuntary emotional resonance. Their emotions are cognitive, not visceral. They do not feel panic, they observe it. Pay close attention to how this person reacts when you or someone else in your environment goes through a genuine crisis. It could be a sudden loss of employment, a severe medical diagnosis, or a highly stressful logistical failure. For a split second, before they adjust their social mask, you will see their true face. It is a face of absolute freezing neutrality. While everyone else is reacting with human empathy or panic, the Machiavellian's eyes remain steady, cold, and entirely analytical. They're looking at your crisis the way an engineer looks at a broken machine, or the way a military general looks at a shifting map. They are mentally recalculating the power dynamics. They're asking themselves, how does this person's sudden weakness change my position? How can I use their panic to accelerate my timeline? Does this make them more dependent on me? If you catch this brief, clinical look of detached observation while your world is falling apart, do not ignore it. It is the ultimate proof that your pain is being evaluated purely for its utility. Sign number 5 is bulletproof plausible deniability. If you confront a narcissist with evidence of their behavior, they will experience a narcissistic injury. They will scream, deny, gaslight, and attack your character instantly. Their defense is emotional and chaotic. If you confront a Machiavellian, the experience is entirely different. It is terrifyingly calm. Machiavellians are chess players. They never make a move without preparing their defense 3 steps in advance. They rarely leave a paper trail. They do not send threatening texts or make overt demands. Instead, they communicate through framing, subtle suggestions, and calculated omissions. When you finally realize you are being manipulated and confront them, they will not panic. They will listen to you patiently, nod their head, and then present a narrative that is so flawlessly logical, so completely coherent, that your argument completely dissolves. They will use facts, timelines, and objective data, carefully curated and recontextualized to show that their actions were actually designed to protect you. They will explain that the misunderstanding is entirely due to someone else's poor communication or your own current high stress levels. They reshape reality not with emotional screaming, but with cold academic execution. You will enter the room certain of their guilt, and you will leave the room apologizing to them, wondering how you could have misjudged them so harshly. This flawless ability to escape accountability, leaving no evidence behind, is the ultimate hallmark of a high-level Machiavellian. Confronting a Machiavellian using emotional arguments is a guaranteed defeat. You are playing their game on their board, and they have rehearsed the moves. The only way to break their influence is to stop playing. Once you recognize these signs, you must shift your interaction to absolute clinical transparency. Put everything in writing, confirm every conversation via text or email, remove all emotional data from your speech. Do not share your fears, your ambitions, or your vulnerabilities with them. When you become entirely transparent and emotionally flat, you become useless to their matrix. A chess player cannot play if your pieces refuse to move. If you have recognized these cold patterns in someone close to you, leave your experience in the comments below. Your perspective might be the exact warning someone else needs to read today. This is Triad Mindset. Subscribe to keep your vision clear when navigating the dark.